You can now purchase individual audiobooks by clicking the first link in the description below. You can get all audiobooks in a podcast feed by clicking the second link in the description below. Thank you for your support. The Governance of China, Volume 3, by Xi Jinping. Audiobook, Part 20. Self-Reform of the CPC. Never forget where we started. Main points of speeches during visits to the site of the first CPC National Congress in Shanghai and the Red Boat on the Nanhu Lake in Jiaxing, Zhejiang Province. October 31st, 2017. To stay true to our original aspiration and founding mission and to continuously work hard is the only way to keep the CPC forever vigorous. As long as all party members and all Chinese people unite as one and do solid work, the country, like a great ship braving winds and waves, will surely reach the shore of national rejuvenation. Mao Zedong compared this site to the cradle of the CPC. It is a vivid metaphor. I see the site as an anchor of the souls of Chinese communists. Every relic used when the party was founded here in 1921 is invaluable. Every picture gives us food for thought. We need to recall and reflect on the founding of the party, which may help us better understand our party's original pledge. Our party's history started from its first National Congress in 1921. No matter how far we have traveled, we must never forget where we started. The oath to join the party is not long. It is easy to recite in a moment, but hard to observe for a lifetime. All party members must bear in mind the oath, always discipline ourselves in accordance with the oath, and uphold the oath all our lives. The Red Boat sparked the flame of the Chinese Revolution and started the century-spanning voyage of the party. Footnote 1. Starting in Shanghai in late July 1921, the first National Congress of the Communist Party of China was completed on a pleasure boat on the Nanhu Lake in Jiaxing, Zhejiang Province, in early August. It heralded the official founding of the Communist Party of China. The pleasure boat has since been hailed as the Red Boat in Chinese revolutionary history. End of footnote 1. Since the ceremony to lay the foundation for the Nanhu Lake Revolutionary Memorial in 2006, I have been longing to visit once the construction was complete. Today I am finally here, inspired and encouraged. When I worked in Zhejiang, I defined the Red Boat spirit as a pioneering spirit that creates from nothing, a hard-working spirit that keeps faith and fears no setbacks, and a spirit of service that honors that party's commitment to the public good and its loyalty to the people. We should carry forward this spirit in the context of this era. All our standing committee members of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee are here today to review the party's history, particularly its founding, carry on our revolutionary traditions, follow the lofty ideals of our predecessors, confirm the heavy responsibilities on our shoulders, and sharpen our sense of responsibility and mission to achieve the objectives set at the 19th CPC National Congress. The site of the first CPC National Congress in Shanghai and the Red Boat on the Nanhu Lake in Jiaxing are the two places where our party set off to live its dream. It is here that our party was born. It is here that our party started its expedition and finally became the governing party of the whole country. This is where our party is rooted. A promising cause may seem simple at the beginning, yet proves great on completion. Footnote 2. Zhuangzi. End of footnote 2. Over the past 96 years, our party has united the Chinese people and led them to remarkable achievements. This is a source of our pride. As our cause progresses, no Chinese communist should ever forget our original aspiration. This is the only way to honor history and our predecessors, to win popular support and uphold the call of the era, and to accomplish our deeds with indomitable will. At its 19th National Congress, the party set the goals and tasks for itself as well as for the country. All party members must uphold the party's fundamental purpose of serving the people wholeheartedly and lead the people in creating a better life. We must strengthen our shared ideal of socialism with Chinese characteristics and press forward towards our ultimate ideal of communism and a better future. We must maintain a modest and prudent style of work, fear neither hardship nor self-sacrifice, and work hard to realize the two centenary goals and the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. Say no to form over substance and reject bureaucratism. Excerpts from speeches made between December 2017 and January 11th, 2019. 1. The manifestations identified in the article seem new, but in fact, they are old problems. They show us again that the four malfeasances die hard. We must never falter in correcting such problems, nor should we ever stall in our drive to improve the conduct of party members. All provincial authorities and central departments should take a close look at their performance, examine their conduct to see where they fall short of the requirements and standards. In particular, they should work out effective measures for addressing such prominent problems as unfulfilled promises, empty sloganeering, half-hearted action, and failure in implementation, and tackle them in a down-to-earth manner. Officials at all levels should take the lead and play an exemplary role. In the upcoming Aspiration and Mission Education campaign, we must not favor form over substance and must ensure good results with good conduct. From the directive on an article of Xinhua News Agency, be vigilant against new manifestations of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism. December 2017. 2. The 19th CPC National Congress in 2017 created an imposing blueprint for future development. To accomplish the objectives and tasks set at the Congress, we must encourage research and fact-finding in the party. Officials at all levels should take the lead in doing frequent field work. They should go to the front line and understand the general picture. They should conduct in-depth studies of problems, understand the nature and rules of different issues, and find methods and ways to solve major difficulties. They must seek truth from facts and speak that truth, whether it is good news or not. Particularly, they must avoid favoring form over substance and bureaucratism. They should never satisfy themselves with a superficial understanding through cursory observation or a smattering of knowledge on a subject, nor should they regard a part as the whole and reach hasty conclusions and judgments. Comments on promote the spirit of fighting poverty and the coordinated development of material and cultural progress in rural areas. Report on poverty alleviation in Shunwu. Submitted by the Publicity Department of the CPC Central Committee, December 15th, 2017. 3. The four malfeasances are difficult to eradicate. Therefore, we should never slacken our efforts in rectifying these problems, and there is no end to the task of improving our conduct. Favoring form over substance and bureaucratism are entirely incompatible with the nature, mission, and fine conduct of our party. They are the arch enemies of our party and the people. Members of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee must take the lead in having a correct attitude towards performance in our work. They must always be honest and do solid work, and conscientiously oppose the practice of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism. They must take the lead in rejecting and fighting these ills. They should focus on outstanding problems and understand there are many manifestations of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism, and that they can evolve and mutate. They need to get a thorough understanding of how the two present themselves in different periods, regions, and departments, and base their work on the reality of the situation. They should solve old problems and identify new ones, address both overt and covert problems, and resolve superficial problems and deep-rooted ones. Through their efforts, good norms will be formed and lasting effect will be achieved. From the speech at a meeting of criticism and self-criticism among members of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee, December 25th through 26th, 2017. 4. We should also relieve officials of meaningless tasks. Currently, the management of officials is widely based on keeping record of their activities. However, it may lay too much emphasis on the activities per se and not enough on concrete results. There are numerous, frequent, and repetitive inspections and appraisals, and once again, officials are busy dealing with piles of documents and attending one meeting after another, a problem we have addressed before. These problems consume too much time and energy, and actually encourage favoring form over substance and bureaucratism. In the past, it was said that, quote, thousands of threads of instruction come from above, but there is only one needle, end quote. Now, officials at the grassroots complain that, quote, thousands of hammers strike from above, but there is only one nail to be driven down below, end quote, and that, quote, thousands of swords hack down from above, but there is only one neck for the blades, end quote. This must change. The Central Committee has set requirements for solving these problems. All provincial authorities and central departments must meet the requirements and duly address the problems. We should enhance information sharing and cannot simply evaluate the performance of the lower levels by the number of activities they have kept record of or the volume of materials they have submitted. We should not simply for our own convenience ask for the same data and materials every time or every year if what we already have is enough. We cannot allow any department or any person to go and ask for the same materials. We must have rules to free officials at the grassroots level from the burden of preparing endless materials. The number and frequency of evaluations and inspections by various levels should be held in check. Matters of the same category should be dealt with together where conditions permit. The purpose is to reduce the burden of officials at grassroots levels and let them have more time for work. From the speech at the 10th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee, November 26, 2018. 5. Currently, favoring form over substance and bureaucratism are prominent problems within our party. They are our arch enemies, hindering the implementation of the guidelines, principles, and policies of the party, and the major decisions and plans of the Central Committee. In reality, there are various manifestations of these problems. Some officials and departments do not stay focused, nor do they make genuine and committed efforts to implement the decisions and plans of the Central Committee. They shout slogans, but take few concrete actions. They make promises that they never act upon, or start things, but do not see them through. Some keep records of their every trivial action and present these as achievements. They turn targeted poverty alleviation into targeted form filling and claim so-called results that are no more than figures on paper. Some are dilatory and perfunctory in their work, shirking responsibility when troubles come and dodging thorny problems. They like to report every trifle to their superiors for approval or directives. In doing so, they appear to be abiding by the rules but are actually avoiding responsibilities. Some make ill-considered or purely arbitrary decisions. They place themselves above the party organization and allow no dissenting voices. Some abuse accountability mechanisms, making officials sign written pledges for the most trivial matters and failing them in their performance evaluation should they be unable to meet a commitment. Worse still, some exploit these mechanisms to hive off their responsibilities or pass the buck. We must view these problems from a political perspective and address them by finding the root causes and identifying the interests involved. Those who favor form over substance are obsessed with results and achievements with a disinclination to do any real work. This stems from a failure to understand the importance of making solid efforts for tangible progress, an absence of any sense of responsibility, and a mindset that wants only the benefits of the position, but not the duties that come with the post. Those with this problem satisfy themselves with superficial work and prefer eye-catching achievements to laying solid foundations and window dressing to real results. Bureaucratism comes from the obsession with official posts and power. It reflects misguided values and a distorted view of power. Those with this problem are inclined to rely too much on their own personal proclivities and subjective judgment and distance themselves from reality and the people. These mindsets and behavior will hamper the implementation of the guidelines, principles, and policies of our party, disappoint the expectations of our people, and erode the foundations of the party's governing status. From the speech at the third plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, January 11th, 2019. 6. Eradicating the practice of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism is an important task. In combating the former, we need to ensure officials make real efforts at work, urge them to foster a correct attitude towards performance, and urge them to avoid fickleness in their daily work, abandon selfishness, and avoid distractions. In opposing the latter, we need to tackle the problem of nonfeasance in safeguarding the people's interests. We must protect the fundamental and long-term interests of the people, and also effectively address their immediate and most important concerns. Party committees or leadership groups of all provincial authorities and central departments should assume their principal responsibilities, keep a close watch for any new tendencies towards or any new forms of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism, and come up with effective measures to rectify them. Leading bodies at all levels should fight these practices and take the lead in examining and exposing their own shortcomings accordingly. Discipline inspection and supervision bodies at all levels should highlight these as pressing problems to solve and expose and report typical cases. From the speech at the third plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, January 11, 2019. Strengthen party self-governance as an ongoing mission. Part of the speech at the second plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, January 11, 2018. To further strengthen party self-governance now and in the future, we must implement the guiding principles of the 19th CPC National Congress held in 2017 and follow the guidance of the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, while enhancing our four consciousnesses and bolstering our four-sphere confidence. We must uphold and strengthen overall party leadership, uphold the authority of the Central Committee and its centralized, unified leadership, and see the party's political foundations reinforced, its ideological commitment buttressed, its organizations consolidated, its conduct improved, and its discipline enforced, with institutional improvements incorporated into every aspect of strengthening the party. We must step up our efforts to combat corruption, carry on with our work to improve the party's political environment, and strengthen its ability to innovate, its power to unite, and its capacity to deliver. These are firm guarantees for a decisive victory in building a moderately prosperous society in all respects and for building a modern socialist China. First, we must focus our efforts on reinforcing the party's political foundations and uphold the authority of the Central Committee and its centralized unified leadership. A governing Marxist party must take a clear political stance. A multitude of facts have shown that many problems within the party are attributed to weak political commitment and a lack of regular and sound political activities. The 19th CPC Central Committee incorporates and prioritizes the party's political progress into its overall effort to strengthen itself, a major decision that has been made from an overall strategic perspective. To reinforce the party's political foundations, we must give priority to upholding the authority of the Central Committee and its centralized, unified leadership. All the political problems within the party, in the final analysis, are ascribed to lack of loyalty to the party. Loyalty defines the quintessential character of communists, and numerous revolutionary martyrs have demonstrated such loyalty by sacrificing their lives. Quote, "My loyalty comes from the bottom of my heart, and it stretches all the way from the earth to the heavens." End quote. Footnote 1. Tsai He-sin, Ambitious Youth, Crossing Dongting Lake on the Way North. Collected Works of Tsai He-sin, Volume 1, Chinese edition. People's Publishing House, Beijing, 2013, page 23, end of footnote 1. Quote, "I shall hold to my beliefs even at the cost of my life." End quote. Footnote 2. Xia Ming Han, Die for My Beliefs. Xia Ming Han, Chinese edition, People's Publishing House, Beijing, 1984, page 1, end of footnote 2. They were dauntless, and no torture could force them to yield. They would be loyal to the party and never betray it for as long as they should live. Loyalty to the party must be sincere and unconditional. As a measure of practice, as well as a political criterion, it must be embraced in implementing the party's decisions and plans. When the commander-in-chief gives orders, all troops obey and act accordingly. All party organizations must implement the decisions and plans of the Central Committee to the letter and closely align themselves with the Central Committee in terms of political stance, direction, principle, and path. Under any circumstances, party officials must be politically firm and reliable, be loyal and honest to the party, follow the leadership of the Central Committee, and strictly abide by the political discipline and political rules. They must remain steadfast on the right path, increase their awareness to observe discipline, keep their moral integrity, and improve their willpower to resist corruption. They must turn the four consciousnesses into concrete action to obey the party's command and assume their obligations to the party. A political party should have faith. For the Communist Party of China, this refers to the faith in Marxism, communism, and socialism with Chinese characteristics. Party officials should learn to capture the essence of the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. They must read more Marxist classics and classical works on adapting Marxism to the Chinese context to truly understand the Marxist stance, viewpoint, and methodology, and internalize them so that they uphold faith in Marxism and persevere in pursuing their ideals with strong convictions. These ideals should be the beacon of faith for party officials. Political faith and ideals do not spring fully formed into existence, and it is not easy to stick to them. We must withstand the four tests and overcome the four risks. Footnote 3. The four tests refers to exercising governance, carrying out reform and opening up, developing the market economy, and responding to external development. End of footnote 3. Footnote 4. The four risks refers to lack of drive, incompetence, disengagement from the people, and inaction and corruption. End of footnote 4. Returning to the main text. We should take account of today's realities to plan for the future. We should have a deep understanding of the dialectical relationship between the long-term goal of communism and the common ideal of building socialism with Chinese characteristics. The communist ideals would be no more than empty talk without our current efforts to develop Chinese socialism and to rejuvenate the Chinese nation. But we should not avoid talking about these ideals or abandon them simply because they will take a long time to achieve. An ancient scholar once said, quote, "We worry about the next 1,000 years when we are only to last less than 100. End quote. Footnote 5. 19 ancient poems. Gu shi, shi jiu, shou. End of footnote 5. Our confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture of socialism with Chinese characteristics can ultimately be condensed into faith in socialism and Marxism. It is a fact that we are in the initial stage of socialism, but we should aim high for the future. Our education campaign on reaffirming ideals and convictions since 2012 has proved effective and should be continued. Irregularities within the party over the years have all been the results of deviating from the party constitution and violations of party discipline by leading party officials, the culmination of their indifference to the rules of the party constitution. The 19th CPC National Congress wrote into the party constitution the fresh experience and theoretical innovations in party governance since the 18th CPC National Congress. The unity of the party in thinking and action should first of all be embodied in understanding and complying with the party constitution. Reverence for the party constitution is the fundamental political discipline. Party organizations at all levels and all party members should study, observe, and enforce and safeguard the party constitution. Use it to discipline our words and deeds, and maintain a high degree of unity with the Central Committee in terms of political stance, direction, principles, and path. Since the fourth plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee in 2014, I have repeatedly warned of the dangers of the 7 malpractices. Footnote 6. This was put forward by Xi Jinping at the second full assembly of the fourth plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee in October 2014. In order to seek promotion and greater power, some officials, ignoring the party's political discipline and rules, have engaged in one or more of these malpractices. 1. Making appointments based on favoritism and discriminating against those who hold different views. 2. Ganging together to form self-interested factions. 3. Making anonymous and false allegations against others and spreading rumors. 4. Buying support and votes. 5. Promising high positions in exchange for favors and relying on cronyism for promotion. 6. Feigning compliance while opposing inaction and going their own way. And 7. Failing to comply with Central Committee decisions or even making baseless criticisms of them. End of footnote 6. They are in essence political issues which can be put into two categories. First, cliques bound together by political and economic interests attempting to usurp party and state power. Second, unauthorized activities fanned by factionalism that sabotage the party's central and unified leadership. We must not bury our heads in the sand in the face of these dangers. Instead, we should take resolute measures to prevent or curb them and remove hidden and potential troubles. We should underline political discipline and rules at all times, strictly investigate and deal with violations of rules and discipline, and allow no factions pursuing self-interest or local cliques acting on their own. We should advocate values such as loyalty and honesty to the party, fairness and practicality in work, and integrity in our members and officials, and ensure that they strengthen their party awareness and political ability through sound intra-party activities and improve themselves politically and ethically. As an ancient scholar said, quote, "We will not act recklessly if we think right." End quote. Footnote 7. Zhu Xi, the Analects of Zhu Xi, Zhu Zi Yu Lei. End of footnote 7. Leading party officials should be grateful to the party and the people and hold them in reverence, never seek position or privileges, and put a cap on their desire for material enjoyment and other prerequisites. Quote, "Only the gentle breeze caressing the river and the bright moonlight pouring down on the mountains are a bounty and a ceaseless feast for the eye and the ear that nature offers." End quote. Footnote 8. Su Shi, Ode to the Red Cliffs. Chi Bi Fu. End of footnote 8. This sentiment of Su Shi, a great writer of ancient China, as he expressed in these words, is most precious but not seen among us now. We had nothing with us when we were born and will take nothing away with us when we die. Once we think this through, we can play a model role by being clean and have integrity prevail within the party. Second, we must implement the Central Committee's 8 rules on improving party and government conduct and maintain close ties with the people. The 8 rules are not intended for just 5 or 10 years. They are to be upheld in the long term. To do this, we need perseverance and tenacity. We must pay attention to both their present and future effect, implement the rules strictly and earnestly, and get every party member and all party organizations involved so as to make this a regular practice that produces effective results. We must keep an eye on new signs and manifestations of hedonism and extravagance, particularly on festive occasions, and prevent the resurgence of such tendencies by identifying them early. Those in command need to take full responsibility for correcting the practices of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism. We need to address the issue of giving only lip service to the Central Committee's decisions and policies. We need to conduct in-depth analyses of tough issues and take practical measures based on reality and public concerns to ensure the implementation of the Central Committee's decisions and plans down to the primary level. All provincial authorities and central departments should revise anew their follow-up measures accordingly, based on what has been achieved over the past 5 years in implementing the 8 rules, and release them to the public for supervision. In improving party conduct, we must focus on maintaining close ties with the people. The 4 malfeasances are more than specific misconduct. They represent a fundamental betrayal of our party spirit and purpose. Many problems among primary level party organizations are attributed to the fact that some party members and officials are not concerned with the people. Some are reluctant and some refuse to communicate with the people, and some just do not know how to do it. There are also a few who ignore the people's needs or dare not face them. They are struck dumb when faced with the people. Leading officials must resist the temptations of privileges in thought and in action. Mao Zedong once said, quote, "The people choose their leaders and leadership tools from practice." It is wrong for those who are chosen to become conceited and consider themselves of great consequence, rather than serve their role. End quote. Footnote 9. Mao Zedong, Guidelines for Electing the 7th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. Collected Works of Mao Zedong, Volume 3, Chinese edition, People's Publishing House, Beijing, 1996, page 373. End of footnote 9. His words still resonate today. In December 2012, at a session of the Political Bureau for deliberation on the 8 rules, I said, "Only when we are under pressure and supervision can people enjoy a more comfortable and satisfying life and have a higher opinion of us. The higher the position officials hold, the more they should connect with and serve the people, respect them, and maintain closer ties with them. We must remain dedicated to the people, reach out to them, and resolve their prominent problems with solid measures. To win their trust and support, we must always put people's interests first, seriously address any issues of pressing public concern, and correct any activities that damage the interests of the people. Third, we must enforce discipline in all respects and govern the party strictly." Quote, "When the law is effective and discipline enforced, the nation is under good governance and the people's support is won." End quote. Footnote 10. Bao Zheng, Memorials to the Throne, Shangdian Jia Zhi. Bao Zheng, 999 to 1062, was an official of the Northern Song dynasty who was known for his integrity and impartiality in redressing injustices for the people. End of footnote 10. Strict discipline guarantees our party's march from victory to victory. The 19th CPC National Congress highlighted the enforcement of discipline and integrated it into the overall plan for strengthening the party, underline our determination to govern the party with strict discipline. Every party member's effort is needed to improve conduct and combat corruption. We are all participants rather than bystanders in this campaign. Every party official should draw lessons from those breaching discipline, be alert to potential problems, follow principles, and be stricter with ourselves, so that we become immune to corruption. We should enhance education on discipline, offer education and guidance before taking disciplinary action, and use typical cases around us to send a message and shame officials into ceasing their wrongdoing. Quote, "When we see a bad example, we should turn to check our own conduct." End quote. Footnote 11. The Analects of Confucius, Lun Yu. End of footnote 11. In this way, we can ensure that all party members and officials enforce self-discipline as part of their normal behavior. We must pay more attention to checking erroneous ideas at the outset, reminding officials of their problems, and forbidding them from doing anything unethical just because it seems insignificant. We need to improve regulations on discipline and keep our institutions up to date. Power comes with responsibility. The party constitution specifies the scope of power of all party organizations, including party leadership groups, for disciplinary punishment. Party committees or party leadership groups at all levels must be resolute in enforcing oversight and discipline, and must take on their political responsibility for full and rigorous governance over the party. As an ancient scholar said, quote, "It is easy to nip a vice in the bud, but difficult to correct deep-rooted problems." End quote. Footnote 12. Fan Ye, The Book of Eastern Han, Ho Han Shu. Fan Ye, 398 to 445, was a historian during the northern and southern dynasties. End of footnote 12. In recent years, we have put forward the 4 forms of oversight over discipline compliance. Footnote 13. See Note 18, page 79. End of footnote 13. Based on past experience and new requirements for strengthening party discipline. In response, some officials have confessed on their own initiative their lapses and serious mistakes to the party organization, and they have been treated leniently. Some others, on the brink of violating discipline, have returned to the right path after receiving warnings and before it was too late. Inspired by these examples, most officials hold discipline in awe and abide by principles. This demonstrates the effect of the party's policies and methods and its full concern and care for officials. We should make a greater effort to use the first method, criticism and education, and correct minor mistakes whenever they arise. We should get general problems out in the open, straighten them out, and close the case accordingly to help relieve officials of any concern. Party members and officials summoned by or receiving inquiry letters from discipline inspection departments should clarify their problems at meetings for criticism and self-criticism to ensure the seriousness of intra-party political activities. We should communicate with and warn those found in violation of discipline to make them clarify their problems in exchange for leniency. We should educate those in serious violation of party discipline about moral and political integrity in disciplinary review and make them realize, repent, and correct their mistakes. In the case of the very few who are unrepentant and are suspected of breaking the law and continue to deceive the organization to the last moment while committing serious violations of party discipline, we must thoroughly investigate and deal with them in accordance with the law and discipline as a warning to others. Fourth, we must intensify efforts to address both the symptoms and root causes of corruption and secure a sweeping victory. We have fought against corruption with decisive measures since the 18th CPC National Congress, and we must continue to carry it through to the end after the 19th CPC National Congress to eliminate vice and exalt virtue, consolidate the foundation of our values, and make sure both symptoms and root causes are addressed. To this end, we should have effective means to deal with symptoms while consolidating what we have achieved in addressing root causes. Without the deterrent effect of punishment, it is hard to achieve substantial results. We will continue to maintain our tough stance on corruption and make no exception for any organization or individual. We will impose tight constraints for long-term deterrence and punish those who take bribes and those who offer them. We need to resolutely deal with existing cases and curb the emergence of new ones. We need to focus on corruption cases involving interest groups formed by political degeneration and bribery, and on corrupt officials who have not restrained themselves from illegal activities, who are strongly suspected of wrongdoing, who have been repeatedly reported by the public for malpractice, and who are currently holding important offices with prospects of promotion. We must investigate and examine officials reported for political and organizational issues or corruption. We must take out tigers whenever we see them and swat the flies that buzz around. We should combat corruption in whatever form and address even the slightest signs. Tigers and flies, major and minor corruption cases, are both to be brought under investigation. The campaign for strengthening party self-governance should be extended to primary level party organizations. Corruption that directly affects people's lives must be harshly punished. We should carry out investigations in the fields of poverty relief and public well-being in order to ensure that policies designed to benefit the public are implemented to their satisfaction. We should be tough in dealing with officials who embezzle disaster and poverty relief funds and supplies, who violate policies relating to land acquisition and resettlement, and misappropriate compensation funds, and who exploit their position at the primary level to take bribes, embezzle funds, and seek benefits for relatives and friends. While combating corruption, we should also eliminate criminal gangs, evil forces, and illegal and criminal activities such as pornography, gambling, and drug abuse, and clamp down on individuals, families, and clans who abuse or exploit their local communities. We must hunt down both gang-related organizations and the hands behind them to enhance the people's sense of gain, happiness, and security. Justice has long arms. We need to expand international cooperation on the fight against corruption, tracking down corrupt officials who have fled overseas and preventing more from fleeing. While continuing to issue red notices for wanted fugitives, we need to enhance international cooperation on anti-corruption law enforcement and strengthen deterrence against corrupt officials who attempt to flee abroad. The key to addressing both the symptom and root causes of corruption lies in action. Our party has established the best practices of combating corruption to ensure that the officials do not dare to be, are not able to be, and have no desire to be corrupt. We must strengthen deterrence, strengthen the institutional cage, and strengthen their vigilance. We need to break the chain sustaining abuse of state assets through reform and institutional innovation to prevent officials from falling prey to corruption. We must strengthen checks on and oversight over the exercise of power and establish effective systems and mechanisms. Fifth, we must improve the oversight systems of the party and the state to increase the party's ability to cleanse itself. As Goldbach's conjecture challenges mathematicians, self-supervision challenges countries worldwide in state governance. In seeking the solution to breaking the cycle of rise and fall, footnote 14. See note 19, page 79, end of footnote 14. We must act with force and continue to improve and renew ourselves. The effort to strengthen party discipline since the 18th CPC National Congress has proved that the mechanism to cleanse the party is effective, and we are fully capable of dealing with existing problems within the party. We will establish an efficient oversight system with complete coverage under the party's unified command and align efforts in intra-party oversight with oversight by state agencies and other political parties, judicial oversight, public oversight, and oversight through public opinion. Discipline inspection is a strategic institutional process for scrutiny within our party. We will intensify political inspection with a view to highlighting the party's comprehensive leadership and strengthening the party. The deterrent role of discipline inspection will be provided by party self-governance and scrutiny of compliance with the party constitution and guiding principles of the 19th CPC National Congress. We will strengthen discipline inspection at the central, provincial, city, and county levels to realize full coverage of inspection within one office term of party committees at each level, creating a supervision network that facilitates coordination in discipline inspection among these levels. We will apply new approaches to inspection, accelerate efforts to review the effect, and adopt more flexible methods, such as randomly selecting the targets for inspection to deter and warn potential wrongdoers. To deter misconduct and address the problem from the root, we must improve the whole discipline inspection system and ensure the results serve their intended purposes, and call to account those who fail to carry out their responsibility, fail to reach the desired effect, or act in a perfunctory manner. Reform of the national supervision system is a major political reform bearing on the overall situation and a key measure to strengthen self-supervision of the party and the state. We will establish supervision commissions at the national, provincial, city, and county levels in line with the schedule and roadmap specified by the Central Committee. We will create an anti-corruption working mechanism under the party's unified leadership and an authoritative, efficient supervision system. We will develop a law on supervision, revise and improve relevant laws, form a power supervision network covering inspection, personnel dispatching, and supervision, and turn institutional strengths into effective governance. Sixth, we must build a team for discipline inspection and supervision that is honest, clean, responsible, and loyal to the party and the people. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and the Discipline Inspection and Supervision Departments at all lower levels have enhanced the four consciousnesses and maintained a high degree of unity with the Central Committee by resolutely implementing its policies and plans, upholding the party constitution, and performing their duties with loyalty, being selfless and fearless, and always ready to assume responsibility. They have performed their duties for the party and the people. As a disciplinary force within the party, discipline inspection commissions are meant to exercise supervision, and this will make some people unhappy. They should be absolutely loyal to the party and willing to assume their responsibilities. They must have political integrity, a strategic vision, and the ability to craft overall plans and put them into practice. They must enhance supervision, enforce discipline impartially, and reinforce accountability. They must strengthen the scrutiny and inspection of compliance with party regulations such as the party constitution and the code of conduct for intra-party political activities. Their primary tasks are to uphold the Central Committee's authority and its centralized, unified leadership and implement it in strengthening discipline, exercising scrutiny, carrying out inspections, and regulating the accountability system. They should extend reform of the discipline inspection system by transforming its functions and methods to create new approaches, new initiatives, and new measures. They should also strengthen the supervisory role of discipline inspection departments in colleges and state-owned enterprises, opening up a new page of discipline inspection and supervision work. Discipline enforcers must first discipline themselves. Discipline inspection and supervision teams are bestowed with great power and carry a heavy responsibility. They are a key target of people with ulterior motives. Discipline, inspection, and supervision departments at all levels must discipline themselves with higher standards, observe stricter discipline, and be more resistant to corruption. Officials on the team must be reliable, responsible, law-abiding, and incorruptible. Their power, granted by the party and the people, must never be abused and must be wielded for the purposes of safeguarding justice and punishing corruption. Strengthen the party and its organizational line in the new era. Part of the speech at the CPC's National Conference on Organizational Work, July 3rd, 2018. I emphasized at the party's 19th National Congress that of the great struggle, great project, great cause, and great dream, the great project of strengthening the party itself plays the decisive role. To successfully carry out the great social revolution of upholding and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era, our party must have the courage to reform itself and become stronger. We have achieved remarkable results in strengthening party discipline since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, but we still have a long way to go. We are still to go through the 4 tests and to overcome the 4 risks. They are protracted and tough. The root causes undermining the party's pioneering nature are complex, while prominent problems such as unwholesome thinking, organization and conduct, and petty politics in the party have not yet been fully resolved. New ones continue to arise. Some party members and officials do not abide by political discipline and rules, groundlessly criticizing the Central Committee's major policies, feigning compliance, and practicing duplicity. Some waver in their ideals and convictions, having doubts about communism. Some lose their faith in Marxism-Leninism and instead believe in ghosts and gods, experiencing drastic changes in their worldview, their outlook on life, and their values. Some lack drive in their work, ducking responsibility and shying away from action in order to avoid mistakes. To play safe, they neither stand in the fore to avoid the limelight nor stay in the rear. Some have a penchant for forming cliques and factions, cultivating connections, or currying favors with higher-ups for personal benefit. Some lack resolution or commitment in addressing undesirable work practices, using artifice, or taking a perfunctory approach to deal with issues such as favoring form over substance, bureaucratism, hedonism, and extravagance. Some abuse power for personal gain and become corrupt and degenerate, refusing to restrain themselves in spite of repeated warnings from the Central Committee. Some grassroots party organizations are dysfunctional, weak, ineffective, or marginalized, and these problems have not been properly addressed. Some places have seen an unbalanced and inadequate development of their talent, failing to unleash their potential for creativity. Some places neglect reality in bringing in high-caliber personnel, paying too much attention to their number, academic titles, and nationality. Some places and entities lack the awareness to enforce proper party discipline, failing to fulfill their responsibilities, and even refusing or disdaining to work towards strengthening the party. These problems severely undermine the party's unity and solidarity and adversely affect its cause and the people's interests. The great social revolution is being carried out in the new era by the people under the leadership of the party. We should be fully aware that never before has it covered such a wide range of social sectors, affected so many interest groups, touched upon so many severe problems, involved so many institutional barriers, and faced such complicated circumstances. We must enhance our risk awareness and sense of responsibility to ensure that the self-reform of the party is carried through to the end. Deng Xiaoping once pointed out, quote, "The implementation of the correct political line must be ensured by a correct organizational line," end quote. Footnote 1. Deng Xiaoping. Excerpts from talks given in Wuchang, Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Shanghai. Selected works of Deng Xiaoping, Volume 3, English edition, Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1994, page 367, end of footnote 1. Our party has always made its organizational line serve its political line. The program it adopted at its first National Congress in 1921 specified the principles for its organizational work. The concept of organizational line was established at the 6th National Congress in 1928. At the Gutian meeting held in 1929, a requirement was set to, quote, "transform party organizations to make them capable of fulfilling the party's political tasks," end quote. Footnote 2. Mao Zedong, Resolution of the Ninth Party Congress of the Fourth Army of the Red Army. Collected works of Mao Zedong, Volume 1, Chinese edition, People's Publishing House, Beijing, 1993, page 88, end of footnote 2. At the 6th plenary session of the 6th Central Committee in 1938, Mao Zedong pointed out, quote, "Cadres are a decisive factor once the political line is determined," end quote. Footnote 3. Mao Zedong, The Role of the Chinese Communist Party in the National War. Selected works of Mao Zedong, Volume 2, English edition, Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1965, page 202, end of footnote 3. He defined, quote, "appointing people on their merits," end quote, as the key principle in appointing and promoting officials, and, quote, "political integrity and professional capability," end quote, as the standards to be applied. After the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949, in line with the needs of the socialist revolution and development, our party emphasized that officials in all positions must be socialist-minded and professionally competent. After the third plenary session of the 11th CPC Central Committee in 1978, Deng Xiaoping said, quote, "We must guarantee China's stability and the realization of the four modernizations by following the correct organizational line," end quote. Footnote 4. Deng Xiaoping, "The organizational line guarantees the implementation of the ideological and political lines." Selected works of Deng Xiaoping, Volume 2, English edition, Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1995, page 200, end of footnote 4. He also set forth requirements for selecting officials. They should be more revolutionary, younger, better educated, and more professionally competent. Quote, "When the line of a fishing net is held up, all the meshes will be open. When the fundamental principles are upheld, all work will fall in place," end quote. Footnote 5. Yang Chuan, Discourse on Truth and Matter. Wu Li Lun. Yang Chuan, dates unknown, was a philosopher during the Western Jin Dynasty, 265 to 317, end of footnote 5. The organizational line is instrumental in upholding party leadership and strengthening the party and its work. I now define the party's organizational line for the new era as follows. Fully embrace the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. With a focus on improving the organizational system, train high-caliber officials who are loyal to the party, have moral integrity, and demonstrate a keen sense of responsibility. Gather talented people who are patriotic, dedicated, and evaluate them in terms of both political integrity and professional competence, with priority given to integrity, and appoint people on their merits, and guarantee a strong organization in upholding and strengthening overall party leadership and in adhering to developing socialism with Chinese characteristics. The party's organizational line in the new era is both theoretical and applicable. It must be fully implemented in the great new project of strengthening the party and its self-governance. Cultivate officials with firm conviction, political commitment, professional competence, and proper conduct. Main points of the speech at the opening ceremony of a training program for younger officials at the Central Party School, National Academy of Governance, during its 2019 spring semester, March 1st, 2019. The training and selection of outstanding young officials is of great importance to the future of our party, our country, and our nation, as well as the well-being of our people. Party officials, especially younger ones like you, should have a thorough understanding and good command of theories and strengthen your ideals and convictions through study. You should remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission as party members, apply what you have learned in your work, acquire further knowledge through practice, improve yourselves through self-reflection, and faithfully follow our party's principles and discipline. You should take the lead in shouldering your responsibilities by applying what you have learned to your actions. You should maintain loyalty to the party, be grateful to the people, revere the law and discipline, and advance your career with enterprise. This means you should be firm in ideals and convictions, maintain political integrity and professional competence, and be disciplined. Without a thorough understanding of theory, it is impossible to have a firm political stance and stay true to our party's mission. Party officials must equip themselves with Marxist theories. Our party governs a large country with a population of close to 1.4 billion, faces challenging domestic and international environments, and shoulders a weighty mission. Without a good understanding of theory, it is difficult to overcome risks and challenges and make continuous progress. We should thus strengthen theoretical study, master and apply dialectical and historical materialism, in particular the Marxist stance, viewpoint, and methodology as applied to them, and gain a thorough understanding of the principles of governance by the party, the established practices of building socialism, and the laws underlying social progress. Party officials should study theory in a comprehensive, systematic, and timely fashion and apply it to practice. When studying the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, we should gain a full understanding of its importance to our era, to the party's theory and practice, and to the world, and its underlying message and requirements. Our theoretical study should be problem-oriented and closely connected with our new practices in the new era, our thinking, and actual work. We should reflect on what we have learned, develop an in-depth understanding of it, and know not only the hows but also the whys. The most effective way to study theory is to read the original works and articles and fully understand the principles. We need to study, remember, and ponder over subjects of learning, conduct in-depth research, and guide our daily work with study, so that learning, reflection, and application are integrated and that knowledge strengthens faith and guides practice. The ideals and convictions of the Chinese Communists are founded on a comprehensive understanding of Marxism and the laws governing historical development. History and experiences have, time and again, proved that if a party stays true to its ideals and aspirations, it will remain invincible and rise through hardships and adversity. If an official is firm in ideals and convictions, he or she will have a broader vision, keep to the correct political direction, and remain as steadfast as a peak in the face of storm. Footnote 1. Du Fu. Song of the thatched cottage broken by the autumn wind. Mao Wu Wei Qiu Feng Suo Po Ge. End of footnote 1. Therefore, we should stay true to our faith, otherwise, we may go astray. The yardstick to judge whether an official has strong ideals and convictions is to see if he or she is loyal to our party. An official should be loyal, honest, and responsible, with loyalty always coming first. Being loyal to our party means we should enhance the four consciousnesses, reinforce the four-sphere confidence, ensure the two upholds, strictly observe our political discipline and rules, and follow the central party leadership in terms of political stance, direction, principles, and path. This commitment must be heartfelt and firm at any time and under any circumstance. Loyalty to the party and faith in Marxism demand concrete actions. We should never forget to check whether we comply with the party constitution, rules, and discipline in terms of ideals, convictions, statements, and deeds. Beat the dust off our soul and remain true communists. Never forget why we started, and we can accomplish our mission. The 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China is the best time to carry out the Aspiration and Mission education campaign. All officials should bear in mind the original aspiration and founding mission of our party, so that we can aim high and have an inexhaustible source of aspiration for our endeavors. We should hold the people dearest in our hearts, sticking together, maintaining a close bond, and sharing weal and woe with the people. This is what enables our party to overcome all difficulties and dangers. Without the support of the people, we can accomplish nothing. We should keep in mind that the people are the true heroes. At no time should we forget whom we serve, whom we rely on, and who we are, and we must forge a true bond with the people. The nature of a political party or a government is determined by whom it serves and whom it relies on for support. All of our officials must adhere to the party's commitment to building itself for the public good and exercising power for the people. We should learn from the people with humility, truly take on responsibility for the people, passionately serve the people, and sincerely subject ourselves to their scrutiny. We need to look to the people as our teachers, learn from them, stay engaged with them, and know what they are concerned about. We should conduct in-depth research to identify prominent problems and difficulties faced by the people, heed their views, and extend their good practices. We should always care for the people, work for them, and deliver benefit to them. When analyzing and addressing issues or making decisions, we should share the concerns of the people. We should help the people solve problems, cater for their well-being, and see that they are satisfied with what they have gained and feel secure. We should have a strong sense of political responsibility and mission, remain committed to our great struggle, great project, great cause, and great dream, and advance the cause of China's prosperity and rejuvenation and the well-being of our people with dedication. Self-cultivation is essential to the performance of duties of officials. An official's moral integrity and commitment to our party do not grow simply because the years of their party membership or public service increase, or as they are promoted to higher posts. Therefore, they should strengthen self-cultivation, self-restraint, and self-reform. The Thought on Socialism with Chinese Characteristics for a New Era sets out not only important guidelines for our party's exercise of governance, but also requirements for party members in terms of political integrity, values, ethics, and approach to work. We should remain firm in our faith, strengthen political commitment, obey political rules, and enhance our political awareness and integrity. One's moral character demonstrates one's ethical standards. Selfless devotion and being open and above board are our defining qualities as communists, and they are qualities that we officials should cultivate and keep. We officials should maintain high ethical standards and follow Confucius's advice. Quote, "When you meet people of virtue and wisdom, think how you should learn to equal them. When you meet people with poor moral standards, remind yourselves against such behavior." End quote. We should draw a line between public and private interests, justice and benefit, right and wrong, rectitude and evil, and hard work and hedonism. We should dedicate ourselves to our great cause rather than seeking higher posts. We should be open-minded, and we should work for the party and the people rather than seeking promotion and personal gain. We officials should cultivate moral integrity, act in good faith, and maintain self-respect, good conduct, and a healthy lifestyle. In particular, we should strengthen self-discipline and guard against temptations. If one cannot maintain integrity and self-discipline, one is doomed to failure. We should realize that incorruptibility is a blessing and greed a curse. To remain incorruptible, one should take the right attitude towards power, position, and interests, remain sober-minded, and maintain good conduct at all times. We should adopt the right approach to our job performance. We should contribute our share to our cause without claiming credit for its success. We should hammer away until a job is done and be down to earth in our approach to work. We should arm ourselves with our party's theories and use them to guide and enhance our work. We should study in depth these theories, gain a thorough understanding of them, and put them to good use. We must remember that empty talk harms the country, while hard work makes it flourish. We should match our words with deeds and deliver outcomes. We should take a firm stand on major issues of principle, rise to challenges and crises, accept responsibility for mistakes, and resolutely fight against unhealthy tendencies. We should be like the sturdy grass that withstands high winds, and true gold that stands the test of fire. There is no easy way to cultivate these qualities. Only by facing up to the storm and exploring the new world can we officials enhance our performance. We should act rather than just uttering empty rhetoric. We should work hard to surmount difficulties, steel ourselves through hardships, and increase our capabilities through work on the ground. The best way to test an official's commitment to the party and performance is to see if he or she is ready to take on responsibilities, a strong sense of responsibility, the courage to confront difficulties, and more skills are what we need to accomplish the following endeavors. Carry out the 5-sphere integrated plan and the 4-pronged comprehensive strategy in a coordinated manner. Act on the new development philosophy. Win the 3 critical battles against major risks, poverty and pollution. Ensure steady growth. Promote reform. Make structural adjustments. Improve people's lives. Guard against risks. And maintain social stability. We should demonstrate our loyalty to the party and the people by completing important tasks and meeting challenges. Goals of the Aspiration and Mission Education Campaign. Part of the speech at the Conference on the Aspiration and Mission Education Campaign. May 31st, 2019. The CPC Central Committee has defined clear requirements, targets, tasks, methods, and a time frame for the Aspiration and Mission education campaign. All provincial authorities and central departments need to have an accurate understanding of them and take active, targeted, and context-based measures to ensure the desired results. First, the requirements. The requirements of this campaign, staying true to our original aspiration and founding mission, identifying areas of improvement, and enforcing implementation, are based on the task of strengthening the party in the new era and addressing the existing problems. To stay true to our original aspiration, we must remember the fundamental purpose of serving the people wholeheartedly, remain true to the original aspiration with strong convictions, and remember that people's desire for a better life must be the focus of our efforts. Nourishing the aspiration with genuine compassion and concern for the people, we must never forget that our party comes from the people and is rooted in them, and that their support is a source of inexhaustible strength, propelling us to advance and gain victories. Working to make the aspiration come true as servants of the people, we must always remember that we communists rely on the people to survive, that we must serve them and never distance ourselves from them, and that we must never make light of them, ignore them, or be indifferent to their difficulties. To stay true to our mission, we must remember that our party must respond to the historic challenge of national rejuvenation. We need to be bold in taking on responsibilities, act proactively, and plan for our cause under sound and practical guidelines and with foresight. We should face up to risks and challenges, know our responsibilities and fulfill them, and overcome all difficulties and barriers on our way forward with perseverance and a selfless, dauntless spirit. This way, we will be able to gain experience and wisdom and grow stronger and more capable through trials and tribulations. To identify areas of improvement, we must check our conduct against the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, against the Central Committee's decisions and plans, against the party constitution and rules, against the people's new aspirations, and against role models and pace setters around us, and we must discipline ourselves by setting high standards. We need to identify areas of improvement in enhancing the four consciousnesses, reinforcing the four-sphere confidence, and ensuring the two upholds. We need to identify areas of improvement in having respect for discipline and upholding principles, in putting the people first, thinking in their shoes, and serving them, and in improving our political integrity, capability, and competence, moral standards, and conduct. And then we should take specific and targeted measures to rectify problems and improve performance. To enforce implementation, we must apply the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era in all our endeavors to promote reform, development, and stability, and in strengthening the party. We must see that in staying true to our original aspiration and founding mission, party members and officials forge ahead with determination, pioneer our cause with solid work, and act conscientiously. To do this, we must avoid favoring form over substance and bureaucratism. We must ensure full implementation of the party's guidelines and policies, address issues of major concern to the public, and continue to enhance people's sense of gain, happiness, and security. We must understand that these requirements are interconnected and work as a whole throughout the campaign. Second, the tasks and targets. In this campaign, our major tasks are to gain a full understanding of and implement the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, forge a political character of loyalty, integrity, and responsibility, and unite with and guide all the people to strive for the realization of our great dream. These specific targets are to make sure that party members and officials benefit from theoretical studies, enhance their political awareness, readily take on responsibilities in starting new endeavors, serve the people, and address their concerns and act as role models of clean governance. These tasks and targets embody the fundamental requirements for party members and officials in the new era in areas of thought, political awareness, conductability, and clean government. To benefit from theoretical studies, the key is to guide party members and officials to make further progress and extend their understanding of the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era and the Central Committee's guidelines and policies. We must dig deep into the theories to understand them in full, be more active and resolute in applying them, and enhance the ability to use the party's new theories to guide our work. To enhance political awareness, the key is to guide party members and officials to reaffirm their faith in Marxism and Chinese socialism and carry on the party's legacy. We need to enhance the four consciousnesses, reinforce the four-sphere confidence, and ensure the two upholds. We need to stay consistent with the Central Committee in political principles, thought, and action, and always remain loyal to the party, the people, and Marxism. To readily take on responsibilities in starting new endeavors, the key is to guide party members and officials to be fully aware of their political responsibility and historic mission, to work hard and to waste no time in furthering our cause, no matter what difficulties lie ahead. Like a hammer driving a nail, we need to do solid work and abandon all thoughts of playing safe or muddling along. Avoid token efforts, never shirk responsibilities, and neglect our duties, and deliver results that are recognized by the people and withstand the test of time. To serve the people and address their concerns, the key is to guide party members and officials to always put the people first, seek people-centered development, forge closer ties with the people, and think and act in the people's interests. We need to focus on the people's concerns and gain their trust by working for their benefit. To act as role models of integrity, the key is to guide party members and officials to serve the people and be pragmatic, clean, and honest. We need to balance work and personal life, the greater good and individual interests, right and wrong, personal favors and the law, affinity with businesses and integrity of office, frugality and extravagance, work and leisure, and gains and losses. We must fight against the pursuit of privilege in any form, prevent and combat corruption, and be clean and honest in office and daily life. Third, key measures. This campaign is not divided into stages. This does not mean we can lower our standards. On the contrary, we must reach higher. All provincial authorities and central departments need to be creative in carrying out the campaign based on the local context. All party members and officials need to study, research, identify, and rectify problems throughout the whole campaign for the best possible effect. Some prominent intra-party problems are caused by ideological deficiency. All our major education campaigns since the Yan'an rectification movement in the 1940s have prioritized ideological and theoretical guidance. Footnote 1. The Yan'an rectification movement refers to a Marxist education campaign inside the CPC from 1942 to 1945. Its main aims were to fight against objectivism in order to improve theoretical study, to fight against sectarianism in order to improve party conduct, and to fight against eight-legged party essays in order to improve writing. Through the movement, the whole party reaffirmed the practice of applying the basic theories of Marxism to the actual conditions of China's revolution. It is called the Yan'an Rectification Movement because the CPC Central Committee was seated in Yan'an at the time. End of footnote 1. In the current campaign, we need to strengthen theoretical studies and focus on root causes of those problems. Party members and officials need to read and study works of Marxism, understand its basic tenets, examine themselves against our goals and standards, and promptly rectify any deviation. We need to set up study groups for leading officials and reading groups for party members and discussion sessions for exchanges on different topics. More means need to be employed to educate party members and officials on our revolutionary traditions, our current situation, and our policies, and to introduce role models on the one hand and cases that can serve as a warning on the other. All this needs to be more targeted, effective, and appealing. We need to tell the stories of role models who hold fast to the party's ideals and convictions, remain true to its original aspiration and founding mission, and readily take on responsibilities, so as to encourage party members and officials to learn from them and become role models themselves. Quote, "There is no use in reading 10,000 books if we cannot even put one of their words into practice." End quote. Footnote 2. Lin Hong, Drinking, Yin Ju. Lin Hong, dates unknown, was a poet of the Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644. End of footnote 2. Party members and officials must understand people's lives and needs and keep abreast of the real situation, identify problems and their causes, and come up with feasible solutions to difficult issues. Research must produce solid results and help us better understand the party's new theories and maintain close ties with the people. It needs to serve and facilitate our cause. We cannot research for the sake of it. We cannot be perfunctory in research or all rush to one and the same place for research purposes, nor can we make a show of research. The courage to face up to problems and correct mistakes is a prominent feature and strength of our party. Party members and officials need to be bold in reforming themselves. They need to widely solicit opinions, examine their conduct, reflect on problems, and find the root causes so as to know where to improve and how to improve. No one should brush off defects casually, downgrade the severity of problems, or avoid key issues and real problems. Problems pointed out by higher officials should not serve to mask problems discovered through self-inspection. Problems of the collective leadership should not serve to mask problems of individual members. Problems of other people should not serve to mask problems of our own. Problems in work and professional competence should not serve to mask problems in political commitment, and problems of the past should not serve to mask the problems of today. When a problem is pinpointed, targeted measures need to be provided to address it effectively. Quote, "It is most pitiful that one does not know one's mistakes, and those who know but do not change have no courage." End quote. Footnote 3. Han Yu, 5 Admonitions, Wu Jun. Han Yu, 768 to 824, was a writer, thinker, and official of the Tang Dynasty. End of footnote 3. Rectification is key. When a problem is found, it needs to be corrected at once. A time limit needs to be set for problems that we expect to resolve quickly, and the requirements must be met before the deadline. Those that cannot be resolved soon need to be kept on the radar and followed up with conscientious and continuous efforts directed towards targets set for different stages. Rectification cannot be a one-off process. We must be quick to take real action and avoid procrastination, empty talk, and falsification. Enforcing accountability does not mean simply blaming officials working at the county level, and no more form filling needs to be imposed on lower levels in the name of rectification. The education campaign needs to offer guidance on the placement of officials. Leading bodies and officials need to be evaluated in terms of political and theoretical awareness, conduct, and the ability to perform duties. Capable and upright officials should achieve faster promotion, and those who are disloyal to the party, corrupt in office, or fail to fulfill their duties must be investigated or removed. We must promote the able, demote the incapable, and discharge the poorest performers. In recent years, in response to people's concerns, we have carried out programs against such misconduct as wining and dining at public expense, using public-funded cars above one's designated grade, and putting up office buildings and other facilities without authorization. These programs have clear targets and have proved effective in solving problems. In the current education campaign, special programs are a key element and must be enforced throughout the whole process. In addition to central committee planning, all provincial authorities, central departments, and major state-owned enterprises should make a list of their main problems and address them with force. The results of these programs need to be made public, and violations of party discipline or the law must be dealt with. Before the education campaign ends, leaderships at and above the county level need to have meetings for criticism and self-criticism. Self-criticism needs to be specific about our problems and needs to touch underlying questions. When criticizing our colleagues, we need to be direct in pointing out their problems, to make them flush with embarrassment and help them scour away their ills. We must be gratified when told of our errors. We must not shy away from our shortcomings. We must accommodate different opinions and sharp criticism. Stay true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission, and carry out self-reform. Speech at the 15th Group Study Session of the Political Bureau of the 19th CPC Central Committee, June 24th, 2019. In response to the sweeping aspiration and mission education campaign, the Political Bureau is today holding its 15th group study session on staying true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission and carrying out self-reform. With a view to motivating party members to remain true to its original aspiration, take on their responsibilities, identify areas of improvement, and enforce implementation based on a review of the historical experience of our party and the requirements of the new era. This is also an important move the Political Bureau is taking to lead this campaign. How will our party, a party with a century of history, maintain its progressive nature, integrity, and vigor? How will it always keep the trust and support of the people? How will our party continue to lead the country? These are fundamental questions that we must answer and solve properly. The requirement to stay true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission is to remind all party members that the party's nature, ideals, convictions, and goals manifest themselves in the aspiration and the mission. The longer our party is in power, the more it should stick to its nature as a Marxist party, the more it should remember its original aspiration and founding mission, and the more it should carry out self-reform. The original aspiration and founding mission of our party are based on Marxism. Marx and Engels wrote in the Manifesto of the Communist Party that, quote, all previous historical movements were movements of minorities, or in the interest of minorities. The proletarian movement is the self-conscious independent movement of the immense majority, in the interests of the immense majority. End quote. As a Marxist party, the CPC has always taken it as its original aspiration and founding mission and made it the focus of its efforts to work towards a happy life for the Chinese people and the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. If it failed to stay true to the original aspiration and founding mission, it would change its nature and color, lose the support of the people, and fail to survive. Our party will prevail so long as it adheres to the commitment to serving the public good and exercising power in the interests of the people, ensures that the Chinese people are happy, works to rejuvenate the Chinese nation, examines itself, faces up to its mistakes, and fights against all the problems that may tarnish its progressive and wholesome nature or endanger its health. In retrospect, how could our party flourish from small roots, survive every crucial test, surmount so many difficulties, and advance from victory to victory? The fundamental reason is that our party is always committed to its original aspiration and founding mission, whether in good times or bad, and perseveres in marching towards its goal, winning wholehearted support of the people. During the Revolutionary Wars, in order to win national independence and people's liberation, our party led the people to succeed in the new democratic revolution and establish the People's Republic of China, and made it possible for the people to be the masters of the country after years of painful struggle. After the founding of the People's Republic, in order to modernize the country, our party led the people to establish socialism as China's fundamental system and advance socialist construction by working hard and rising to challenges. During the years of promoting reform, opening up, and socialist modernization, our party led the people to open up a socialist path with Chinese characteristics by freeing the mind and seeking truth from facts, and enabled the country to catch up with and stand proud among the nations of the world. Now, in the new era of socialism with Chinese characteristics, we are closer to, more confident, and more capable than ever before of making national rejuvenation a reality. Our achievements are impressive. This is a reason for pride, but never complacency. I have emphasized, after achieving success, it's not easy to keep the entrepreneurial drive and be mindful of possible problems. After taking power, it's not easy to stay frugal and restrained. During peacetime, it's not easy to discipline officials and to prevent corruption and extravagant life. In the critical moments of reform, it's not easy to follow the tide and the people's aspirations. We can never allow ourselves to lose our revolutionary spirit and to indulge in complacency and pleasure-seeking amidst flattery and praise. Rather, we must remember that midstream is where the current is the strongest and the road halfway up the hill is steeper. So it is necessary to take, staying true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission as our eternal theme in strengthening the party, and a lifelong task for all party members and officials. Staying true to the original aspiration and founding mission is not easy. It requires us to have a strong sense of self-reform. We must fulfill this mission on the new journey and reform the party further in the new era to build it into a vibrant Marxist governing party that is always at the forefront of the times, enjoys the wholehearted support of the people, has the courage to reform itself, and is able to withstand all tests. This year marks the 70th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China, and our party also celebrates 70 years in power. As the ancient saying goes, quote, "One prospers in worries and hardships, and perishes in ease and comfort." End quote. Footnote 1. The Mencius, Mengzi. End of footnote 1. No external forces but we alone can beat ourselves. Our ancestors said, quote, "It's admirable to correct one's mistakes, and it's not commendable not to make any mistakes." End quote. Footnote 2. Sima Guang. Historical events retold as a mirror for government. Zizhi Tongjiang. End of footnote 2. It should be noted that as our party has been in power for a long period of time, factors undermining its advance and wholesome nature are ever present, and dangers running counter to its founding mission and weakening its foundation are ubiquitous. Unless we guard against these problems or address them in time, they will accumulate into bigger and harder ones which cannot be easily solved. Some of them may even lead to disastrous consequences, imperiling the whole country. Remarkable results have been achieved in strengthening party self-governance since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, winning wide acclaim from the people. But we should not be complacent about it. We should be soberly aware that prominent problems of contaminated politics, thinking, organization, and conduct in our party have not been solved, root and branch. Some problems that have been dealt with might resurface. New problems are cropping up, and the 4 tests and the 4 risks are still complex and tough. There is a long way to go for the party to reform itself. We can never allow ourselves to slacken off. The key is not the problems themselves. It is whether we have the will and courage to confront and resolve them. It calls for the joint efforts of the whole party to stay true to our original aspiration and founding mission. Therefore, every single party member, and particularly every official, must engage in this education campaign while concerning themselves with the party, shouldering their responsibility, and striving to strengthen the party. Marxism is an instrument to transform our objective and subjective world. As the party worked to adapt Marxism to the Chinese context, it has developed Mao Zedong thought, Deng Xiaoping theory, the theory of 3 represents, the scientific outlook on development, and the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. They serve as powerful theoretical weapons to advance social reform and self-reform. Based on the Marxist theory of strengthening parties, our party has developed rich theories of its self-reform, such as reinforcing party members' ideals and convictions and their party consciousness, enforcing strict party self-governance, being strict with intra-party political activities and conduct, developing both regular and intensive education, carrying out regular criticism and self-criticism, strengthening internal scrutiny, accepting supervision from the public, cleansing the thinking, organization, and conduct of the party, and keeping it in good health. As important sources of experience for the party in conducting self-reform, they should be fully applied and developed in this campaign. In the final analysis, this education campaign aims to solve all intra-party problems running counter to our party's original aspiration and founding mission. The key is to have the courage to face up to the problems. Problems are always there, so we should reflect on ourselves, just as the old saying goes, quote, "A man of virtue often examines himself as a fallible person," end quote. Footnote 3. Gang Changzi, dates unknown, who lived during the spring and autumn period, 770 to 476 BC, was a disciple of Lao Tzu. End of footnote 3. To identify our shortcomings and have the courage to correct them. We should be problem-oriented and settle problems in earnest. Concealing a malady for fear of taking medicine might result in incurable diseases. In fact, the outstanding problems within our party have manifested in many ways, requiring us to make a sweep search and do all we can to address them. To strengthen our party politically, we need to ensure that the party exercises centralized and unified leadership, and that all its members strengthen their commitment to the 4 consciousnesses, the 4-sphere confidence, and the 2 upholds. We need to cleanse our political environment and remove hidden political dangers, such as those brought by double dealers, to prevent and diffuse political risks. To strengthen our party theoretically, We need to improve theoretical guidance, have firm ideals and convictions, bear in mind the party's nature and purpose, enhance the party spirit to combat any loss of faith and sense of purpose, and raise the awareness of the party and party membership. To strengthen our party organizationally, we need to improve the party by consolidating its weak and slack organizations at all levels to increase their creativity, cohesiveness, and ability. We need to resolutely oppose self-centered behavior, anti-centralization, disregard of the rules, the silo mentality, and sacrificing principles for selfish purposes. We must implement in earnest the criteria for appointing good officials and rectify all unhealthy tendencies. To improve our party's conduct and discipline, we need to continue to address the problems of favoring form over substance, bureaucratism, hedonism, and extravagance, and also resolutely correct nonfeasance and any misconduct that undermines the people's interests. We must maintain a tough stance against corruption and eradicate the tumors endangering the health of our party. The 8 prominent problems targeted in this guidance campaign are all that might weaken the foundation and hinder the growth of our party. They must be solved in the spirit of thorough self-reform. These problems are always visible to the public. Whether party members and officials remain true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission needs to be judged and evaluated in practice. We can never carry out self-reform behind closed doors. We must be receptive to the public's suggestions and willingly accept their supervision. I expounded on how to cleanse, improve, and reform the party at the 3rd plenary session of the 19th Central Commission for Discipline Inspection earlier this year. These measures could help to remove the tumors and enhance the health of our party. To cleanse the party and keep it in good shape, we must eliminate impurities and toxins and remove boils and tumors. As the ancient saying goes, to ensure lasting peace, problems must be addressed when they arise. To enjoy eternal health, people must go to the doctor when they get ill. Footnote 4. He Tan. Xi Chou's sayings. Xi Chou Changyan. He Tan, dates unknown, also known as Xi Chou, was a scholar of the Southern Song dynasty, 1127 to 1279. End of footnote 4. It is necessary to prescribe medicine when confirming the diagnosis, and for some chronic ailments, a heavy dose of medicine is needed. When cancer cells are likely to spread, it even requires surgery. We must address inadequacies, shore up points of weakness, consolidate the foundations, tackle problems at the source, prevent minor problems from becoming major ones, address them when they crop up, close institutional loopholes, and improve the supervision system and the party's long-term governance capability. A weak person needs to build up his health and boost his immunity. Otherwise, his health will deteriorate until it is too late to recover. As the saying goes, the smallest antholes in a dam must be repaired promptly, otherwise it will eventually collapse. To reform our party, we must have a clear picture, be resolute in removing all theoretical and institutional barriers, and experiment with theoretical, practical, institutional, and cultural measures. To improve the party, we must learn from books, from practice, and from the people, strengthen our party consciousness and political ability, raise our political, theoretical, and ethical level, enhance our governance capability, and build a contingent of loyal, clean, responsible, competent, and professional officials. To remain true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission, and to carry out self-reform of the party, we need to deal with the following relationships. First, we must uphold and enhance centralized and unified CPC leadership while addressing the party's own problems. All party members, and particularly officials, need to fight with extraordinary courage against any behavior by any member that weakens the party's leadership and governance foundation or contravenes its political discipline and rules. But we should not undermine or deny the party's leadership and take an erroneous road of self-destruction because of the existence of these problems. Second, we must uphold the correct path and embrace innovation to improve the efficacy of self-reform. We must adhere to the party's nature, purpose, original aspiration, and founding mission, ideals, and convictions, and, at the same time, solve all problems within the party with new methods and approaches. Third, we must, on the one hand, enforce discipline on all our party members, and on the other, show them our great care. We must improve the supervision mechanism to prevent them from practicing malfeasance. At the same time, we must also give a free hand to entrepreneurial and responsible party members and officials, unleashing their enthusiasm, initiative, and creativity, and encouraging them to make contribution and achievements in the new era. Fourth, we must rely on both the driving force of party organizations and initiative of individual members. Party organizations at all levels must be strict in requirements, education, management, and supervision. Party members and officials must take the initiative to examine and cleanse themselves politically to improve their political immunity. The key to remaining true to the party's original aspiration and founding mission lies in party officials at all levels, and particularly high-level officials. They need to lead by example in studying the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, in strengthening their commitment to the four consciousnesses, the four-sphere confidence, and the two upholds, in staying true to our original aspiration and founding mission, in carrying out criticism and self-criticism, and in upholding truth and rectifying errors. Everyone should be involved, and no one should stand aside. The Political Bureau in particular needs to set a good example for the whole party in this regard. Finally, I would like to conclude with quotes from Chairman Mao. One is from On Coalition Government on April 24th, 1945. Quote, "Thousands upon thousands of martyrs have heroically laid down their lives for the people. Let us hold their banner high and march ahead along the path crimson with their blood." End quote. Footnote 5. Mao Zedong, On Coalition Government. Selected Works of Mao Zedong, Volume 3, English Edition, Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1975, page 270, end of footnote 5. The other is from Report to the Second Plenary Session of the 7th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China on March 5th, 1949. Quote, "The Chinese Revolution is great, but the road after the revolution will be longer, the work greater and more arduous. This must be made clear now in the party. The comrades must be taught to remain modest, prudent, and free from arrogance and rashness in their style of work. The comrades must be taught to preserve the style of plain living and hard struggle. We have the Marxist-Leninist weapon of criticism and self-criticism. We can get rid of a bad style and keep the good. We can learn what we did not know. We are not only good at destroying the old world, we are also good at building the new." End quote. Footnote 6. Mao Zedong, Report to the Second Plenary Session of the 7th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. Selected Works of Mao Zedong, Volume 4, English Edition, Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1961, page 374, end of footnote 6. Remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission. An ongoing campaign. Part of the speech at the conference reviewing the Aspiration and Mission Education Campaign. January 8th, 2020. A party with over 90 million members and 4.6 million grassroots organizations that has long ruled a vast country boasting a population of 1.4 billion. the CPC gives staunch leadership in building Chinese socialism. The party's own efforts to strengthen itself have always been a serious matter affecting the overall situation. While today's world is undergoing changes of a scale unseen in a century, China is at the critical stage of national rejuvenation, and the CPC is leading the people in a great historic struggle with many new features. These changes that come at a staggering pace, the need to strike a balance between reform and development and stability, and the problems, risks, and challenges we face, all present unprecedented tests to our party's governance. To win constant support from the people and continue to achieve further success, our party, with a history dating back almost 100 years, must bear in mind our original aspiration and founding mission, clear out whatever undermines the party's progressive and wholesome nature, rid ourselves of any virus that erodes the party's health, and guard against any danger that goes against our original aspiration and founding mission and has the potential to shake the foundations of the party. The past is a prologue. The whole party must use this education campaign on our original aspiration and founding mission to commit ourselves to further self-reform. Here, I want to highlight a few points. First, to remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission, we must make strengthening our party an eternal theme for all party members and officials. Either for a person or for a party, what must be treasured most is the adherence to one's original aspirations and good qualities in the face of any hardships encountered. For our party, its original aspiration and founding mission epitomize its nature, purpose, ideals, convictions, and goals, and motivate us to stand fast and march forward. From the Shikumen building, where our party was established, to the Tiananmen rostrum, where the founding of our country was declared, and on to the path of the new era, all of our party's efforts, struggles, and sacrifices have been dedicated to the people's well-being and national rejuvenation. Our original aspiration and founding mission have enabled the party to grow and prosper in extreme difficulties, break through tight encirclements, and rise in adversity. Without them, our party would change its nature, lose public support, and risk its future. A nation or a party that forgets where it comes from will not grow and prosper. It should be noted that in the course of our party's long rule, elements undermining the party's progressive and wholesome nature are persistent. Threats to our original aspiration, our founding mission, and the party's foundation are ubiquitous, and impurities in thinking, political commitment, organization, and conduct in the party have not been completely eradicated. A Marxist party will not remain progressive and wholesome automatically over time, nor will a party member's party consciousness deepen merely through length of service and promotion. There is a risk that our original aspiration will fade and disappear if it is neglected. It is easy to forget why we started and where we are going. It is easy to wander off track and get lost. The fundamental reason why corrupt officials break laws and infringe discipline is that they have cast aside their original aspiration. All party members should constantly examine and analyze themselves to eradicate any impurities, negative influence, and contamination. I have said on many occasions that party members and officials should regularly reread the party constitution, their oath of admission to the party, and the martyrs' letters to their family during the revolution. We need to check our actions against the party constitution to find out whether we have complied with the requirements and maintained our original aspiration, just as we tidy our rooms and polish our mirrors regularly to keep them neat and clean. We must guide all party organizations, members, and officials to examine their political thinking against the requirements of the Central Committee, scan their behavior against the party constitution and regulations, scrutinize their performance against the people's expectations, and compare themselves with the revolutionaries and martyrs of the older generation and with today's role models. We should constantly remind ourselves of our original aspiration and stay true to and shoulder our founding mission. We need to nurture the aspiration and keep to the mission through innovative thinking, allow them to further motivate us by reviewing the extraordinary history of our party, and build a deeper understanding of them as we further regulate intra-party political activities so that they can be a driving force for us to forge ahead, innovate, and do hard and solid work. Second, to remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission, we must unify our thinking, will, and action with the latest theoretical development of Marxism in the Chinese context. The progressive nature of a Marxist party manifests itself, first and foremost, in its theory. It is our party's distinctive feature and one of its finest traditions. To highlight its theoretical development, Mao Zedong once said, quote, "Therefore, ideological education is the key link to be grasped in uniting the whole party for great political struggles." End quote. Footnote 1. Mao Zedong. On Coalition Government. Selected Works of Mao Zedong, Volume 3, English edition. Foreign Languages Press, Beijing, 1991, page 265. End of footnote 1. The original aspiration of communists is based on their concern for the people, their perseverance in pursuit of truth, and more importantly, on scientific theories of Marxism. Only by improving party members' theoretical understanding can we stay true to our original aspiration and shoulder our founding mission more conscientiously and more firmly. The biggest enemy of theoretical study is complacency. If we want to really learn something, we must stay hungry. But we now have some party members and officials who undervalue theoretical study and spend no time on it. Some lack perseverance. Some put on a show, dabbling without thorough understanding. Some engage in casual and fragmented learning, choosing what interests them and ignoring what does not. Many young officials are not yet well equipped theoretically or firm in their ideals and convictions. We need to help them adopt a serious and sound attitude if they are to truly understand, firmly believe, and actually apply the theories. I have noted repeatedly that it is through learning that we communists have come so far today, and it is still the weapon that we must employ as we march into the future. All party members must keep pace with the times, casting off outdated mindsets, old routines, and old practices in thought, deed, and decision-making. Otherwise, we will be left behind, fail to perform our duties, miss good opportunities, and ruin our work. This problem requires the highest attention from all party members and particularly from leading officials at all levels. Advancing with the times must be more than a mere slogan. It must guide our thinking and action. We cannot blind ourselves to what is really happening out there, like the people in the legendary Peach Blossom Spring who cut all ties with the outside world. Footnote 2. Tao Yuan Ming. Peach Blossom Spring, Tao Hua Yuan Ji. End of footnote 2. Every step in theoretical innovation must be followed by education and training. All the previous education campaigns of the party began with ideological education to address the problems of casual study, disunity in thinking, and slow response in action. With continuous follow-up and concentrated efforts, they aimed to achieve unified thinking, political solidarity, and unison in action across the party. The top priority should be studying, understanding, and applying the party's innovative theories. It should go together with studying the basic tenets of Marxism and the histories of the CPC, the PRC, reform and opening up, and socialist development. This, in turn, must happen in the context of the efforts we have invested in the great struggle for national development, the great project of strengthening our party, the great cause of Chinese socialism, and the great dream of national rejuvenation. We must work hard to have a good grasp of what we are learning, unify our thinking through freeing our minds, and improve our understanding of the party's theories so as to apply them in a more proactive way. Third, to remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission, we must have the courage to face up to problems and carry out self-reform through vigorous self-examination. Quote, "When a gentleman errs, his mistake is as visible as a solar or lunar eclipse, but when he corrects it, he is worthy of respect again." End quote. Footnote 3. The Analects of Confucius, Lun Yu. End of footnote 3. Our party's prominent strength is our ability to confront problems and correct mistakes. Vladimir Lenin once said, quote, "Frankly acknowledging a mistake, ascertaining the reasons for it, analyzing the conditions that have led up to it, and thrashing out the means of its rectification, that is the hallmark of a serious party." End quote. Footnote 4. V.I. Lenin, Left-Wing Communism, An Infantile Disorder. V.I. Lenin Collected Works, Volume 31, English edition, Progress Publishers, Moscow, 1966, page 56. End of footnote 4. A strong party is forged through self-reform. In looking back at our party's history, while carrying forward social revolutions, it has always embarked on self-reform by upholding truth, rectifying its mistakes, facing problems squarely, overcoming its weaknesses, and bracing for the pain of removing the poison to heal quickly. Precisely for this reason, our party has been able to survive every desperate situation, bring order out of chaos, and become an invulnerable Marxist party. At present, a minority of party members and officials lack the drive to reform themselves. They take things as they are and make little effort. Some are losing their ability to examine problems in favor of worrying about personal gains and losses, or concealing their faults for fear of criticism. Some dare not air criticism but keep themselves discreetly out of harm's way by remaining mute. Some indulge themselves in corruption and extravagance. They even violate party regulations, such as the 8 rules, despite repeated prohibitions. As an ancient Chinese scholar said, quote, "The hardest thing to do under heaven is to keep one's heart under control, and the easiest thing is to be lured by desire." End quote. Footnote 5. Lu Shi Zhi, On Nourishing Heart, Lun Yang Xin. Lu Shi Zhi, 1036 to 1114, was an educator and philosopher of the northern Song dynasty. End of footnote 5. Once we are tempted, the will to reform ourselves will wane to the point of abandoning our original aspiration and founding mission and violating discipline, even breaking the law. It is not hard to find the original aspiration, but it is not easy to follow through. All party members must constantly uphold revolutionary ideals, maintain high morale, and use the weapons of criticism and self-criticism to improve party conduct, enforce party discipline, and fight corruption. We will continue to strengthen the party's ability to cleanse, improve, reform, and surpass itself. We must fight against anything that might weaken the party's foundations and undermine the party's undertakings and eliminate any virus that erodes the party's health. Fourth, to remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission, we must maintain the resolve to fight and fulfill our duties. Our party was born when the nation was beset by domestic crisis and foreign aggression, so it had to fight to survive, to grow, and to triumph. The closer we sail towards national rejuvenation, the more we may encounter heavy seas. We must be mindful of possible dangers in time of peace and possible crisis in time of stability. Remain ever vigilant, boost morale, and be resolved to engage in the great historic struggle with many new features. Speaking of fighting, we do not fight for the sake of it nor for personal gain. We must work hard and overcome difficulties to fulfill the people's expectation for a better life and realize the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. To judge whether a party member or official has the spirit to fight and the will to take responsibility, we should see whether he or she has the courage to take a stand on major issues of principle, to rise to challenges, to come forward in times of crisis, to accept responsibility for mistakes, and to fight against unhealthy trends and evil practices. At present, among our party members and officials, there are problems such as the lack of will, courage, or ability to take on responsibilities. Some prefer to be risk-averse, avoid confrontation, or sit on the fence. They worry that the more dishes you wash, the more likely you are to break them. They embrace ideas such as making friends rather than enemies, and turning a blind eye to indiscretions. Rather do nothing in case something goes wrong, taking credit for successes but refusing to accept responsibility for mistakes, and enjoying standing in the limelight rather than working behind the scenes. They panic whenever problems and difficulties arise. This is not the conduct of a communist. They will bring nothing but trouble or even disaster. A towering tree will not grow in a plant pot. Likewise, a great cause cannot be achieved by idlers. To become mainstays of the party, our members and officials must face the world, brave the storm, hone their skills, and enhance their capabilities. They should be men and women of courage and action, knowledgeable and ready to take on responsibilities. They should lead the charge in the face of major challenges, risks, and resistance, and distinguish themselves. Fifth, to remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission, we must develop and improve the intra-party systems to establish a long-term mechanism. Systemic strength is the greatest advantage of a party and a nation. Deng Xiaoping once said, quote, "If these systems are sound, they can place restraints on the actions of bad people. If they are unsound, they may hamper the efforts of good people or indeed, in certain cases, may push them in the wrong direction." End quote. Footnote 6. See Note 1, page 142. End of footnote 6. Our party suffered losses due to weak systems. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, the Central Committee has been committed to running the party by rigorous rules, trying to develop a set of systems and institutions that are well conceived, procedure-based, and effective. Such efforts have strengthened party self-governance. The fourth plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee proposed a system for remaining true to the original aspiration and founding mission. Establishing a new system requires systematic and dialectical thinking while upholding principles so as to make it instructive, targeted, and operational. In this process, we must take pragmatic and effective measures to get to grips with problems with an easy and applicable approach. We must balance the Central Committee's requirements against actual conditions and the expectations of the public at the grassroots level, keeping our eyes on the goal as well as realities. We must emphasize both breaking new ground and maintaining consistency, and make sure the new system accommodates existing intra-party regulations and systems, determining what is to be retained, improved, established, or implemented. When formulating our rules and regulations, we should not try to make them all-encompassing, nor should we overdo the detail. Systems are to be observed and enforced. The whole party must strengthen its will to abide by, implement, and uphold our systems, and put in place authoritative and efficient enforcement mechanisms to step up supervision of their implementation. We must ensure this full and solid implementation of the system for remaining true to the original aspiration and founding mission, and stamp out the practices of rule-bending, loose, and selective enforcement, in case rigid restrictions become lax and a long-acting mechanism becomes ineffective. Sixth, To remain true to our original aspiration and founding mission, leadership organs and leading officials must make the running. Leadership organs are important bodies in state governance, and leading officials, small in number but holding key positions in state and party undertakings, are like weather vanes for the whole party and society. The ruler's virtue is like wind, and commoner's virtue like grass, which always bends in the direction of the wind. Footnote 7. The Analects of Confucius, Lun Yu. End of footnote 7. This means leading by example is far more effective than simply issuing orders or prodding people into action. Leadership organs and leading officials must lead the charge in this education campaign. Quote, "If we fail to lead by example, others will neither trust nor follow us." End quote. Footnote 8. Tuo Tuo et al. History of the Song Dynasty. Song Shi. Tuo Tuo, 1314 to 1355, was an official of the Yuan dynasty. End of footnote 8. Leadership organs and leading officials have always been the first to charge forward, which is the key to our party's success. In the years of Revolutionary War, charge and follow me in the charge were two orders with a world of difference. After the founding of the PRC, thanks to a large number of exemplary officials like Jiao Yu Lu, Gu Wenchang, Yang Shanzhou, and Zhang Fuqing, our party is able to lead the people to make new progress in every field. Leadership organs and leading officials must fully understand the responsibilities with which they have been entrusted, keep sober-minded, and regularly examine and improve themselves. This year will witness the end of our battle against poverty, success in building a moderately prosperous society in all respects, and the conclusion of the 13th five-year plan. We are confronted with increasing external challenges, mounting downward pressure on the economy, and the formidable task of striking a balance between reform, development, and stability. The more complicated the situation is, the more it needs leadership organs and leading officials to maintain their resolve and press forward. The more arduous the tasks are, the more it needs them to lead by example, do solid work, and shoulder their responsibilities. All leadership organs and leading officials must enhance the four consciousnesses, improve the four-sphere confidence, and ensure the two upholds, leading the people to overcome difficulties on our way forward, and satisfying the party and the people with good performance. Strengthen discipline and scrutiny over the exercise of power. Main points of the speech at the fourth plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Commission for Discipline Inspection, January 13th, 2020. We must uphold the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, and follow the guiding principles of the 19th CPC National Congress and the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th plenary sessions of the 19th CPC Central Committee. We must exercise full and strict governance over the party, improve party and state supervision, strengthen discipline and scrutiny over the exercise of power, and ensure the implementation of the party's guidelines, principles, and policies, to provide a strong guarantee for securing a decisive victory in achieving moderate prosperity and eliminating poverty. Since the 18th CPC National Congress in 2012, we have shown unprecedented courage and resolve in advancing full and rigorous governance of the party, and have made historic and groundbreaking progress that will have a profound and comprehensive influence. In our effort to lead a social revolution through the party's self-reform, we have strengthened and improved the relevant systems to fix problems such as the weakening of party leadership, a failure to strengthen the party, and inefficiency in party self-governance in some fields, so that the party continues to exercise strong leadership in building socialism with Chinese characteristics. In our effort to strengthen the ideals and convictions of all party members with progressive theories, we have enacted institutions conducive to realizing our original aspiration and founding mission. We have armed the whole party with the thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era, inspired our people, and directed our work accordingly. We have made ideological education a regular and institutionalized practice so as to gather ideological strength for realizing the Chinese dream of national rejuvenation. In our effort to reinforce unity and solidarity within the party, we have ensured the two upholds, improved the system for upholding the authority of the CPC Central Committee and its centralized, unified leadership. We have improved the system of the Central Committee's leadership over major programs and unified our will and action to safeguard the party's unity and solidarity so as to strengthen the party's ability to lead politically, to guide through theory, to organize the people, and to motivate the public. In our effort to improve party conduct, enforce party discipline, and fight corruption to unite the party, the military, and the people, we have taken firm measures to combat corruption, correct misconduct, eliminate negative elements, undermining the party's progressive nature and integrity, and improve the system of governance for the people and supported by the people, so that the people always remain a mighty force supporting the CPC's governing status and Chinese socialism. Since the 18th CPC National Congress, we have sought out a path to resolve problems rooted in the party's long-term governance, so as to avoid the historical cycle of rise and fall, and we have built a set of effective systems for scrutinizing the exercise of power and for enforcing party discipline and state laws. We must uphold, strengthen, and develop our path and systems. At the fourth plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee in 2019, strategic plans were laid to uphold and improve the socialist system with Chinese characteristics and to modernize the state governance system and capacity. Accordingly, discipline, inspection, and supervision organs should undertake the relevant work. We should enforce political oversight and guarantees and raise political awareness of the two upholds. Supervision and inspection should be strengthened to ensure the implementation of the guiding principles of the fourth plenary session of the 19th CPC Central Committee and to uphold and consolidate the fundamental, basic, and major systems supporting the socialist system with Chinese characteristics. The Central Committee's major decisions and plans must yield substantial results, particularly in achieving moderate prosperity and eliminating poverty, so supervision must be strengthened this year to motivate party organizations at all levels to do their best and complete their tasks. In terms of strengthening party self-governance, responsibilities should be specified for each position in each party organization and should be assumed, observed, and fulfilled accordingly, so as to strengthen grassroots party leadership and oversight. Power must be exercised appropriately under the principle of democratic centralism, based on sound decision-making, effective implementation, and forceful oversight, with impartiality and integrity, and in accordance with the law. We should uphold a people-centered approach and follow our fine traditions to secure a decisive victory in achieving moderate prosperity and eliminating poverty. Under an explicit institutional framework, officials should eradicate the malpractices of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism, work in a realistic and practical manner, and demonstrate honesty and integrity. Officials should be trained and tempered at the forefront of major programs or major battles, with an encouraging environment for them to grow and stand out from the crowd. Problems that damage the people's interests in poor areas and are of pressing public concern must be properly addressed, and efforts should be made to eliminate the malpractices of favoring form over substance and bureaucratism in targeted poverty alleviation, with a focus on enhancing scrutiny over performance, particularly poverty elimination in designated poor counties. The fight must go deeper against micro-corruption that undermines public welfare, against protective umbrellas that shelter criminal gangs and evil forces, and against the stumbling blocks that hamper the implementation of policies benefiting the public. With this goal in mind, grassroots party organizations must be strengthened. We should continue to catch tigers as well as flies, and focus on punishing violations of party discipline and state laws that occurred despite repeated warnings after the 18th CPC National Congress. We must be fully aware of the severe, complex, long-lasting, and arduous struggle against corruption, guard against potential corruption, and increase the efficiency of our fight against corruption. We must severely punish corruption occurring after the 18th CPC National Congress that hampers the implementation of the party's theories, guidelines, principles, and policies, and undermines the party's governing foundations. We must investigate and prosecute cases of corruption that cause harm. We will make greater efforts to combat corruption in financial institutions and state-owned enterprises, improve the management of state-owned resources and assets, and identify the hidden corruption in local government debt risk. We must punish insurance fraud by medical institutions and set up an effective long-term supervision mechanism. We must improve the supervision of overseas state-owned assets. We must implement the 8 rules on improving party and government conduct, remain determined and principled, and prevent old problems from resurging, new problems from emerging, and small problems from growing. We must enhance oversight over those in command at all levels, improve the mechanisms of avoiding work-related conflict of interest, implement regular job rotation and end-of-tenure auditing, and conduct proper criticism and self-criticism. We should improve party conduct and build clean government, and ensure our officials do not dare to be, are not able to be, and do not want to be corrupt. This is the fundamental guideline for battling corruption, and also a major strategy for strengthening party self-governance in the new era. The awareness, ability, and resolve to resist corruption are an integral whole, and must be reinforced together in a coordinated way. Strict enforcement of party discipline and state laws help strengthen the institutions, improve the institutional structure, and form an effective oversight system. In addition, we must also help party members develop firm ideals and convictions, enhance party consciousness, and strengthen their commitment to the party's founding mission. Strict enforcement will remain a long-term principle, while distinctions between the 3 pairs of errors should be made, as our measures should both respond to people's concerns and motivate officials to assume responsibility. Footnote 1. Distinctions should be made between the following cases: mistakes due to a lack of experience in pushing pilot reform programs, and deliberate violations of the law and party discipline. Mistakes due to trying out things not specifically banned by higher-level authorities, and violations of the law and party discipline with full knowledge of the prohibitions. Unintentional mistakes for the good of development, and violations of the law and party discipline for personal gain. This was first raised by Xi Jinping in January 2016 at a study session on implementing the decisions of the 5th plenary session of the 18th CPC Central Committee, attended by officials at the provincial and ministerial level. End of footnote 1. We should make full use of the 4 forms of oversight over discipline compliance. Footnote 2. See Note 18, page 79. End of footnote 2. Resolving existing problems with effective measures and preventing potential offenses through straightened oversight so as to achieve sound political, legal, and social effects. We should improve party and state supervision and comprehensively reform the discipline, inspection, and supervision system. Institutions and systems should be further developed and improved, fitting with the party's leadership system and merging into the national governance system. This way, they will help turn China's institutional strengths into effective governance. We should integrate overall oversight by party committees or party leadership groups, specialized oversight by discipline inspection commissions and supervision commissions, functional oversight by party organs, regular oversight by grassroots party organizations, and democratic oversight by party members. We should focus on internal party scrutiny and coordinate the scrutiny by people's congresses, other political parties, administrative organs, the judiciary, auditing and account bodies, statistical institutions, the general public, and the media. Discipline inspection commissions and supervision commissions should play their due role in the party and state supervision system and facilitate and implement the institutional reform of discipline inspection and supervision. We should protect our systems through strict discipline and strengthen compliance and enforcement. Supervisory mechanisms for enforcement should be improved to cover all areas and to reinforce regular supervision and targeted inspection. Enforcement results should be included in officials' performance evaluation to motivate them to fulfill their duties and achieve results. Effective accountability helps strengthen enforcement. Abuse of power and dereliction of duty should both be punished, applying to both the person directly responsible and his or her superior. Upholding the authority of our systems and ensuring their enforcement are important duties of discipline, inspection, and supervision organs. They should take the lead in reinforcing our party's political foundations, maintain absolute loyalty to the party, have moral integrity, demonstrate a keen sense of responsibility, dare to confront difficulties, and be capable of overcoming obstacles. The CPC Central Committee has enacted rules on supervision and discipline enforcement and approved regulations on supervision and law enforcement, which discipline inspection and supervision organs must implement to the letter. Party committees at all levels must strengthen leadership and oversight over discipline inspection commissions and supervision commissions at their corresponding levels, to ensure the exercise of power in party discipline and law enforcement is subject to supervision and constraint. Discipline inspection and supervision organs should set an example in enhancing self-supervision and self-discipline, raise awareness of the need to uphold the rule of law, follow procedures and produce evidence, carry out their work within their jurisdiction and in accordance with regulations and standard procedures, and launch greater efforts to strengthen the ranks of inspection and supervision personnel. End of audiobook part 20. End of The Governance of China, Volume 3, by Xi Jinping.